Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Authors Up. Very, very happy to have you all with us tonight. It is Sunday evening, and we always say that is our favorite place to be at 7 p.m. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that we are here. Boy, time goes by so fast, and we are at the end of a month. Oh, I can hardly believe it. I can, honestly. And tomorrow,
Yes.
the 1st of September, can you believe that?
Woo.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But I am here this evening with two of my favorite people, and I hope that they have become your favorite folks as well. And I'm going to give them an opportunity to greet you. How about you, Miss Ruth? Good evening to you.
Well, good evening to you as well. I'm happy to be back.
Yay. We're glad you're back too.
So I just want to welcome everybody and thank you for coming out. Thank you for joining our show. So yeah, we wouldn't be a show without you.
That's it.
Yep.
And how about you, Queen Victoria? How are you tonight?
I am pretty good tonight. All is well. I'm glad to be here. Welcome to everybody. And we have another good show lined up, and it's just good. It's all good.
It's all good, all good. Like to hear that. Half full. We're gonna look at everything half full. I tell you.
That's it.
We're gonna start like we usually do, and that is with our weekend review. And I'm gonna take the lead this Sunday evening. You want to hear about my weekend review? Let me tell you about my weekend review.
Come on, let's go.
The Flatline. Nothing happening.
I know she would get ready to say that.
What happened?
Something happened. You went somewhere. You did something.
It was a quiet week. It was really a quiet week. It was a week filled with home repairs and contracts and, what am I going to do about this, that, and the other? But it was all good. I did go to celebrate one of my goddaughters who was recognized for scholastic achievement yesterday, and they did it at Stadium Wake Forest. There, they had them there and had them recognized there. It was an interesting event. It was interesting the way that they did it, but the kids were real excited about it, and it was fun for them, and just realizing that while they are twins, they are very different. They are getting to be very different little people. So it's interesting to watch them and watch them grow, because I tell you, I think about it. I used to call them my little squeeze toys. Because I just would love to just go to South Carolina and just be able to hold them. And I know there's someone that we have on the line that knows exactly what that's like these days. So you just want to hold them,
Right.
And I miss them being tiny little people, so I could, am able to do that. But I'm glad to be able to celebrate them. It's important when they do something well to celebrate them. So I did have that on the calendar this week. Did a lot of writing this week. Got some things ready for something new coming tomorrow, thanks to the help of Miss Ruth up there. So you all be looking out, as they say, good looking out. Good looking out tomorrow. tomorrow at noon. Good looking out. So I'm happy with all that, all good things, all good things. I'm gonna stay in that vein no matter what. Just all good things. So it was a good week for me. How about you, Victoria?
It was a pretty good week. First and foremost, my babies. My youngest baby is 20 today, and my middle baby turned 24 on Wednesday. Wednesday. So it rounded out the birthdays in this house. Yeah, three of us in August. And so that was really good. And it's just, it's always a time to reflect on how good God is.
Yeah.
With the one today, I almost didn't make it. Baby was fine, and I almost didn't make it. So that's another long story. But I always reflect on her birthday and just thank God. 20 years ago, it could have been another way, and He spared my life yet another year to see her. She's smart. She's gone through a lot, and just to know she's still here with us is amazing because, she has some challenges, and both of them actually have had some challenges, but they're doing well. And so I'm just grateful. All I could do, you don't know me, I'll drop a tea in a minute, but I just am grateful. And then this past week, I was able to release my book to you guys. That was a
Yeah.
major thing for me to be able to have said I finally finished it. Well, it's just in a state where I feel like I had to let it go. I couldn't write another word. And now I want to see what y'all think, and we got next steps. But I think I've completed the assignment, and then I'm so grateful that God has put in me that there's going to be a series with it. It's not going to be just a one book. It's going to be the See Me series, and I've actually already started writing the second book. So God is just doing some amazing things in me, and it's just very humbling. That's all I could say. But I'm in a really good place mentally, and still got my physical challenges, but I'm good. I am good. And oh, last but not least, my girlfriend came over yesterday and got my bike box, and she sent me a picture today that the bike is almost ready. I'm so excited.
Wait a minute, what is this?
My bike. Remember, I told y'all a long time ago that I had bought a bike, an
No.
adult tricycle.
Oh,
My bike. My bike is almost ready, and I'll be able to ride my bike this spring. Yeah, yeah,
Ruth said, "Oh,
okay.
yeah. So when I get on the
I,
bike, then I'm gonna have a picture to show y'all me riding my bike.
yeah, I want to see this. Yeah, I want to see this.
When I saw it, I was like, "Oh, it is an adult tricycle. It really is." So hey, it's got three wheels, so it's a tricycle.
Well, the weather's still nice. You don't have to wait till
Yes,
spring.
yes, and it has a basket and everything.
Now I'm gonna definitely have to see pictures of this.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
I've got a basket. I got my helmet. I don't think it has a bell, but I think I'm gonna have to get one.
you can.
Lord
I'll
Jesus.
give you a bell. I'll give
Okay,
you.
thank you.
We'll christen this bike, and I'll give you a bell. How
Okay,
about that?
so that's it for this week. It's a lot, but I'm just grateful. Just grateful.
Good
Doing
deal.
things I never thought I'd do, and that's the bottom line.
Good
Oh,
news. Good
What
news.
about you, Ruth?
okay. Well, I mean, it's the only other thing I talk about. So,
Let's
um,
go.
yeah, let's go. You know what? Hey, I have a video that can say it better than I can. So,
Oh, look at the
Let's go. Let's go.
look at the doggo.
Ta-da!
What you talking about?
you see the way her eyes just light up?
Hey.
I am
You know
not
she
saying.
is an official member of the book club, and
Okay.
she's inviting everybody to participate. So I hope
That's right. Yes. Yes, that's right. She's got plenty of stuff to say now that she talks. So,
All right.
and I may or may not have seen that video a few hundred times already since I recorded it last week. So,
Works for us.
um, yeah, no. So I was visiting for what, a week and a half. Came back on Thursday. So Yeah, that was tough. I'm already thinking about when I'm going. I'll go back.
Like I said, she doesn't live in North Carolina no more.
I don't think so.
Oh, you have two homes
Yeah.
now. Let's put it that way. You have two homes.
Exactly. So, that, I mean, that's always great to share anyway.
Yeah.
But we also have other great news to share
Yes.
to go along with that lovely logo, right behind me. Thank you, Victoria. We now have a website. Ta-da!
That's right. It's done.
Yes, it is. It has been a labor of love.
Oh,
AuthorsUpShow.com. If you're hearing me, please go check us out. We have information about the show. We have information. Oh, we have a bookshop. We have an online bookshop.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
you can go to, it's linked there, tells you all about it, bookshop.com. I think it's .org. Actually, so when you buy books via the bookshop, the proceeds go back to the author, to us, and to independent bookstores. So
right.
shop and get your books there. So, and it was honestly, it was awesome putting it together because, it's one thing to say, oh, we've been on the air for 5 years, we've had great, guests and all of that. And then you start adding in all the books and authors, and you're like,
Right.
holy crap. We
Right.
have over 100 books available on
Wow.
that bookshelf from all the guests. And that's not to count the ones that there were like maybe 6 or 7 that were not available in
Wow.
through this thing. But you'll learn about us. You'll see our bibliography. There's just, I mean, so much. And we're so proud of the website. So if you're hearing me, go check us out. AuthorsUpShow.com.
It is
Yeah.
beautiful. Ruth, you did a wonderful job.
She
It
did.
is. I was just blown away when I saw it. I just
And the
it
new
is
the new logo too. I mean, I like the
Yes.
new logo and the new background that we got.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. And I'm gonna talk about you, Victoria, for a minute because you were like, well, we don't need another logo. We're
I
fine
know
with
I
what
did
we
say
have.
that, didn't
But,
I?
but
Did you really? I didn't know she said that.
I was
oh
like,
yeah.
why? Why do we need one? But you know what? It's growth, it's evolution. We don't
Yes.
stop,
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I see the value of it now because I love it. I absolutely love it. As you see,
Yes.
I got rid of my books. And it makes sense, The arrow up with the books, authors up. I just love it. I absolutely love it. And Ruth has just done a wonderful job. I don't have that particular talent,
You know what? And that's okay because I don't have your talent. I cannot talk the way you do. I really cannot. So we balance each other out really well.
And it is amazing to me that I talk so much. But anyway. All
Well,
right.
now it's time for you to continue talking and tell
Exactly.
our audience about our
Exactly.
guest tonight.
Yeah, we have a wonderful guest. She's definitely no stranger to us all. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Leah Forney is the founder and creator of Save Me, a transformative movement that empowers organizations to build safe, supportive, and inclusive spaces, particularly for marginalized communities. With a deep commitment to sexual assault prevention and survivor advocacy, Leah's work is driven by both her personal experiences as a survivor and her professional expertise in creating positive social change. A courageous survivor of sexual assault, Leah has turned her pain into purpose, using her journey to lead powerful conversations with key stakeholders, including politicians, law enforcement, and legal organizations. With resilience, authenticity, and determination, Leah has proven that every voice matters and that transformation is possible, creating a safer, more inclusive world for all. Well, tonight, we'll be back in just a sec, but Leah is going to talk with us about her new book. We are so excited. What works for Susan won't work for Tameka. a culturally responsive approach to sexual violence prevention and response. We'll be right back.
Welcome, Leah.
Yay!
Hey.
Hey.
Welcome again.
Yeah,
That's
welcome back. Yes, it's not just
I'm
welcome.
like,
It's
I was
welcome back.
thinking, I'm like, what is this? Number 4, 3,
I
4?
think
I lose
so.
count.
Yeah.
Think
I
so.
mean, at this point, I think you get a jacket, a plaque, and a
Or
guest
something.
spot. Yeah,
And a t-shirt.
there you
Right.
go.
Well, we need to get new T-shirts with the new logo.
See, there you go. So
Love it.
Leah gets her own as a, you know, unofficial member. Yes. So,
Yeah.
all right, Leah, tell us about your book.
Okay, so what works for Susan won't work for Tameka. So it's funny. When God gave me this book, I was actually gonna call it something else. I was gonna call it something really corporate-y, right? Because I thought that you have to have this really corporate title if you wanted to attract those type of readers, and it just was not sticking. I was like, I was gonna call it Reimagining Sexual Violence Prevention, and I was like, I don't like it. And God said to me, well, what do you always say when you train on cultural sensitivity and sexual violence? And I said, what works for Susan won't work for Tameka? And he said, bingo. And I was like, I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. So that's how the title came to be. And really, why I wanted to write this book, particularly for the Tamekas of the world, is because in the anti-violence movement, which has been a movement for over 50 years, we have centered the narrative that sexual violence victims are typically Caucasian women, right? And so we exclude those who are Black and brown. We exclude those that are LGBTQIA folk. We exclude the indigenous folk. And they are just as impacted, if not higher, disproportionately higher than Caucasian folks. And so this was kind of my way of like gut punching all the service providers of the world and say, stop centering. We have to decenter this narrative that sexual violence is only a white person's issue and start recognizing that there's a whole group of survivors who are not getting the services they need. They're not getting the help that they need, and they're not getting the healing they need. And so it's time that we talk for the Tamekas of the world.
Okay. And obviously, this book is different from your previous books.
Mhm.
You've taken a new direction. Is that reflective of the where you are, the path you are, how you, for lack of a better term, feel um, about your journey?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a personal reflection, but I think it's also just where I am in my business and just finally accepting the call that this is
Mhm.
where God has placed me and how he wants me to show up in this space and really just be a disruptor and really dismantle and tear down what hasn't worked. We've done this one size fit all approach for over 50 years and it doesn't work, right? And so this book is me giving them a fresh perspective of saying, hey, the way that you've been doing this does not work. It's not as simple as a checkbox. It's not as simple as, well, just because it worked for Susan, now it must work for Tameka. No, because Tameka is coming into the fold with historical context and cultural issues and intergenerational trauma and all these other aspects that impact how she shows up to receive help. It's not as simple as how it looks with Susan. And for those who read the book, what I love about how I wrote the book is that I also wanted to show that Susan has challenges too. Like, just because she kind of falls into the perfect victim narrative, she has challenges just as well when she's going to these service providers to get help. They just look different compared to the Tamekas of the world.
Right. Right.
Right.
So you've written several books. Some, obviously they were therapeutic to you. How would I don't know if how would you describe the process? Was it easy to write this, given everything that you've written in the past? How was that journey?
No. I feel like this was the hardest book I wrote.
Really?
And I feel like it was the hardest because my other books was one therapeutic for me, but I think I was speaking more for an individual. And this was my first time speaking for a collective group of
Oh, yeah.
people, for
Mhm.
service providers. And it's interesting because how the book actually came into play was I did a training on cultural sensitivity and sexual violence last year at the National Sexual Assault Conference, and it blew up. And then God was like, "Oh, you need to write another book." Because if anybody remembers my book writing journey, I was done. I was like, "All right, I did 8."
Yep. And I said, no, you're not. And I said, no, you're not.
I was
Okay.
done. All right, Jesus, I think I did my part, right? And then he said, "No, you got to do one more because you don't have a book that positions you as a thought leader and an expert in this particular space." And I was like, "All right, fine." Like, but I was not. Was not about to write another book. But when he broke it down, I was like, you're right. I don't. And I just started thinking, and I've been doing this work for 11 years, like advocating activism for 11 years. I've been a survivor for over 12. So I just started pulling from my own lived experience and what it was like for me as a survivor, as a Black woman, going up against a system that wasn't designed for me in the first place, and really remembering what it felt like to hear the judge tell me that he didn't believe me, that I was raped before stepping off at the bench and going into his chambers and then coming back and telling me case dismissed. Really just pulling from that, but then also pulling from 11 years in the field and watching how service providers keep getting it wrong. And so I just pulled from all of those things and started really thinking, like, what did I need back then? What was I hoping that the people that was working with me, the rape crisis center staff, the judge, what did I want them to know about what it was like to work with someone that looked like me? And so it was hard because I had to pull from a lot of different places. It took me probably longer than ever because usually I could probably knock out a book in a good 45 to 90 days if I sit down. This one took me about a year to
Oh,
really, because
wow.
I wanted to make sure that when it was done, it was a finished and complete product, and that people were going to walk away being like, okay, I get it now. I get that I have to show up differently. So that's what made it hard because it was definitely also a different audience. Like I knew that when this book came out, it wasn't going to be for individuals. That's why people didn't really see too much promotion of the book because I knew exactly who I was targeting. I was targeting those that are working directly with survivors of sexual violence and are getting it wrong every single day.
Wow.
Okay. So if you have a different audience, would it benefit anybody else who picks it up?
Yeah, I've had individuals that are survivors themselves that pick it up. But I think for me, I think I wanted this to be so, I was so intentional about like, no, I want these service providers to get it right because if they get it right, then the survivors who are going to them will get better service delivery. And so while I appreciate individuals who brought the book and were like, yeah, I just want it for because you're talking about something that's near and dear to my heart, I knew specifically I wanted it for those who are working directly with you. Because if I can get them to get it right, then the delivery outcomes are going to be different.
Right.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So, all right, Elder Andrea, what you got?
I got a quick question. My question is simply, why now? Why now? What is it that drove you to do it now? Two-parted. That one, and the second one is you. This is a movement.
Mm-hmm.
You made that clear in the book. It's not just a one size fits all, not just a one shot kind of deal. But what is it that makes you so passionate about this? There are many people who survive, many people who thrive, but not many people who have the passion and the intentionality to make that switch, if you will, or
Yeah.
make that turn and say, I'm going to do something about this. And it was something at the end of your book when you were talking about the call to action. What was it for you? Those two things. Why now? And what is it that has just kind of fueled you to say, I'm not going to stop this. There has to be a voice. There has to be
Yeah.
someone to speak that can help to turn this around.
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think why now? Because we're living in a time where we have an administration that wants to erase our history, right? That wants to erase all of the movements and what we've done. I think also the world is hungry for Black and Brown voices to speak up because who else
Mhm.
is going to do it, right? So I think that, but I think what drove me is just realizing I'm an aunt of 13. Like my oldest two are getting ready to go into college in another year or two. And so for me, it's like, how do I make sure that they're equipped, right? And that if I can make this world a little bit easier and a little bit better for them, then I'm going to do that. I think the other piece is that no matter what stage I've been on, I've always connected with a survivor. And many of the survivors I've connected with have been stuck. I can't tell y'all how many times I've heard someone say, "You're telling my story, and I just don't got the courage to tell it." And I've been stuck here for 13 years, 20 years. I can't tell you how many Black and Brown survivors, men and women, who have come to me and cried and been like, "I know something happened, but I'm stuck." So I
Mhm.
think for me, I just truly believe that when God allows you to go through something and you survive it, you have an obligation to go back and help someone else. And so when I finally just embraced and accepted the call, God literally said, "I'm calling you to go into the enemy's camp and snatch back my sons and daughters who've been impacted by this sexual violence." I was okay with just telling the story. I was like, cool, I tell myself, you want me to tell the sexual assault story? I tell the story. I don't got no problem with it. But when I realized the mandate and the call, I was like, okay, God, if this is what you're calling me to do, then I embrace it. As scary as it is most of the time, people wouldn't believe that. As much of the political pressure and the bucking up against the system that I do on a daily basis, but I know that right now the voice is needed. There are service providers that are realizing and recognizing I've been doing this wrong. And if I can connect with a person like Leah Forney, who's like, yeah, you have, and let me show you how to get it right, then I'll do that. So I think the timing is perfect. But I also just like, as a survivor myself, I know what it's like to be in those spaces and feel stuck. And so if I could just be the voice for them and it helps them get better outcomes, then yeah, I'm doing my job.
All right. All right. And I got one last thing too, that you have developed something called the prep model. And
Mhm.
I wanted you to talk about that for just a little bit, this prep model. I kind of like the way that sounded too.
Yeah, so when I was writing the book, God gave me this notion of prep. And so prep is really a framework that I developed that I use when I'm working with organizations. And it breaks down three phases, nine different steps. But prep stands for preparation, response, evaluation, and performance. And so what I found when I was working with these organizations that would hire me to come in and consult and train is that many of them were lacking comprehensive training. So they were training or getting trained, but none of their trainings were speaking to that cultural piece. None of it was getting them to really understand that it is not one size fit all, that it's going to look different for marginalized communities. But then they were also like having very inadequate reporting mechanisms. So like they had reporting processes. They had processes where if a survivor came into their office, like they knew what to do, but they weren't complete reporting mechanisms. So the most of the reporting mechanisms led them to law enforcement. And what I had to do was get them to understand that for many Black and brown survivors, they're not calling the police. So stop talking to them about the police. Right. And so you have to have a very robust reporting mechanism that is outside of just calling the cops. And then they also were struggling with enforcing their policies and their procedures, especially for those that had multiple locations, right? So it was this very inconsistency. So it was like, this is how we report here, but then we report different on a different location. And so the prep model really looked at all of these things and really broke down 9 steps that would help them to really get better in their reporting mechanisms, the way that they train, and then how they begin to implement and provide, bring in those key stakeholders, and so that there's consistency across the board.
And do you get a lot of pushback, Leah? Because I know that there's sometimes that people either just don't want to believe that it's as bad as it is, or they,
Mm.
just have this mindset that it's not necessary, and somehow by osmosis or something, it's just going to miraculously all go away one day, and nobody's going to have to worry about it at all. But it can't be, and I'm saying it can't be, but maybe it is not as difficult as I think to be able to push through, whether it's the bureaucracy of it, whether
Mhm.
it is the why do we have to change of it, or any of those things that have kept this stagnant and silent, and without really putting the push behind it that needs to be there. Do you fight that as much as everything else?
Oh, 100%. I fight bureaucracy. I fight political red tape. Um, I think the biggest piece is really, I will say, like when I work with law enforcement, I fight against their system, right? Because for them, it's a mindset thing. They have to shift their mindset to recognize that when I'm talking to you about why you should be testing rape kits, like, and getting them to understand that something as simple as an apology is helpful for a survivor. In their mind, they see it as, well, I didn't personally do anything wrong. And I'm like, right, you didn't, but the system did them wrong. So you have to acknowledge the failure on part of the system. And so, how the reason why that's so hard for them is because the same system that I want them to acknowledge failed them is also the same system that cuts their check,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And so I got to go up against that, right? And for some, they get it, right? What
Whew.
I have found in the 11 years that I've done this, that is for many of them, it doesn't, they don't get it until it's personal. I remember training a law enforcement agent who was like, oh, when I was doing this work, I didn't really care about sexual violence
Mm.
until my daughter was sexually assaulted.
Mm.
Because then now when it's personal, right, now I care. And so that's what I got to go up against. I got to go up against a system who's been doing it this way for 50 plus years. And their mindset is it's not broke. So why are we fixing it? But it is
It's
broke.
broke.
And we
Yeah.
have to fix it
Yeah. It's
because
broke.
we're excluding a whole group of people who are stuck at what happened to them when they were 5 years old, when they were 15 years old, when they were 20 years old, when they were like, they're stuck. And yet we keep saying that we show up for survivors, do we? Because which survivor are we showing up for? Because we got a whole group of them that have not been able to heal.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I can just leave it there. Victoria?
Now we can't just leave it there. Can't leave it there because I this is a deeply personal subject for a lot of reasons. My mother was is at 92 a survivor of abuse, sexual abuse within the family, um, and I found out um, some other people really close to me. I myself have had to admit under Leah's guidance and just becoming more listening to you talk about your experiences has helped me own up to something that happened to me when I was 16. So it has just this subject is quite sensitive, and I love that you have done a book such as this to help the people who we go to when we're damaged, when we're hurt and broken, and we go to these people expecting them to help us, and they don't. And when they fail us, and when our own community has told us what happens at home stays at home, for you to have done the work that you're doing, and then to do a book like this to help dismantle how we are handled, it's 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 really powerful. It's really powerful, and I applaud you with this book. Get the book, y'all. Get the book. Get the book. And it also baffles me that we could be doing a book about a cookbook, right? And we might have 10 people on the call, right? But when we do a book about this sensitive subject, we don't have that many, that want to talk about it. So that tells me that you're doing something good and right here. And I was really impacted by chapter 5. And you say in chapter 5, cultural sensitivity is often seen as a first step in addressing the diverse needs of individuals from varying backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
To truly meet the needs of survivors like Tameka and Susan, we must go beyond surface level awareness and develop a deeper, more integrated understanding of how culture, identity, and lived experiences shape their healing journeys. And then you go on to talk about the differences between cultural sensitivity versus cultural humility. Can you speak to us about that? Could you tell us what is the difference between cultural sensitivity and humility and why they are important?
Yeah, because cultural sensitivity is a basic awareness, right? It's you basically saying, I recognize that we all come from different cultural backgrounds, right? That's
Right.
cultural sensitivity. Cultural humility is a lifelong learning and understanding of how those different cultural backgrounds shape the way I see the world, the way you see the world, the way we show up in the world. And so many people love to be like, oh, I'm culturally sensitive. Yeah, most of us are. We all have basic awareness and understanding of how culture, identity plays a role, right? You must shift from just being basically aware, right? And I always tell people like cultural sensitivity is think of it as simple as being like, oh, I recognize I'm black. I recognize she's white. Okay, that's cultural sensitivity, right? That's basic awareness. Cultural humility says not only do I recognize that, but I want to challenge myself to really understand how those nuances play a role in how this person shows up, how they interact with me, how they interact with others, how they view things like help, right? Because in Black and Brown communities, we don't view help as it's not easy for many of us to ask for help, right? We'll suffer in silence before we be like, I need help. I know I've been guilty of it. I will drown before, right? And that's our culture. But if you're a service provider and you don't understand that because you are not culturally humbled yet, right?
Wow.
Then you're going to be like, well, she's a black person. So it should be easy for her to want help. But a culturally humble person would take it a step further and be like, wait, well, what is it about me or this situation that's maybe got a barrier, right? Why is she not so easily to ask for help? A culturally humble person will start to be like, oh, wait, they come from a marginalized community, and this community dealt with, a mistrust with law enforcement. This community dealt with it being experimented on. Like they'll really do the work to fully understand that culture and how it shows up and why there might be some friction. I always tell service providers, don't ever take it personal when a survivor from a marginalized community doesn't trust you because you're a representation of the system. So it's not you they don't trust. They don't
Right.
trust the system. And so you're a representation of the system. And so to be a culturally humbled organization means that you don't just check boxes, right? that when I walk into a organization, I should be able to see people that look like me beyond the receptionist.
Amen. All
Because a
right.
lot of organizations
Right.
think, oh, I got a black person that sit at the front desk. I'm culturally sensitive. I'm
Yeah.
trauma informed. Not if I go in the back of that, in the back office to go meet with a service provider and I'm meeting with a white person. That just means you're diverse. And there's a difference between diversity
Wow.
and inclusion, right? And so
Wow.
Right.
what I try to do is tear that ideology down and be like, no, you're culturally sensitive because you have a basic underwear awareness. You're diverse because you check a checkbox.
Mm,
That doesn't mean you're inclusive, because inclusive
mm.
says that I hire you or I bring you on my team based on what you can bring to the table, not your race or your gender expression.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, how you get so smart, girl? How you did? Is that a a phrase that you coined, or you had just done work on it about being culturally humbled?
No, so cultural sensitivity was actually coined by the great and incomparable Kimberly Crenshaw, who was a
Mm-hmm.
UCLA attorney, and she coined it. Black woman, amazing black woman, but she coined it to really help people understand how culture and identity again shape the way people see things, right? And how
Mm-hmm.
privilege and oppression plays that same role, right? So her thought process is we all deal with the discrimination, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I deal with discrimination because I'm a woman, right? But I also deal with discrimination because I'm a black woman, right?
Right.
And so being black and woman has me dealing with oppression and discrimination, the same as if it was just a white woman dealing with discrimination, the same if it's a black. So she coined that terminology to really get people to understand the intersection between identity and culture and how it plays a role in privilege and oppression.
She did the sensitivity and humility. She did that too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. 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 All
Yeah,
right.
so cultural humility kind of came later because they were
Mm-hmm.
calling it cultural competence for a long time. And then
Yes.
people started
Yes.
being like, I don't know if that's the term. And
Right.
so it changed to cultural humility.
Yeah, I've heard that cultural competence. Yeah, I've heard that in the workplace as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I also wanted to ask you about the model that the format that you've written the book in. Not so much
Mm-hmm.
ask you, but comment. Well, we can ask you about it. You stated earlier that you wrote also about Susan. It wasn't just Tameka's issues, but you wrote about Susan, and I think that is very important. The way you have written that in this book, each chapter deals with a subject, and then you tell how that has affected both Tameka and Susan. And how did you come up with that concept?
Yeah, so I think my goal was to show intersection, right? Because
Hmm.
again, for so long in the field, we've only talked about Susan's problem.
Right.
And so I wanted to write it in a way that really amplified Tamika's voice, but also pointed out that Susan is also dealing with some challenges too.
Yes.
Yes, she might have better access to healthcare, right? Yes, she might have the financial means to go and get a great lawyer and go and see the top-notch therapist, right? But she's
Hmm.
also running into some roadblocks in your services too, right?
That's
Because to
it.
some degree, y'all not really listening to her either, right? And so what I wanted service providers to see is that like while yes, we need to amplify Tameka more, you also need to be looking at your services across the board and asking
Mhm.
yourself, if I was the survivor on the other end, how would I respond to the way my current practices are being done?
Right, right, right. I just
And
want.
that goes way before you get to the support. Start
Hmm.
with your assessment. So I always tell people go from assessment all the way to support, right?
Yeah.
If I'm going, think about when you go to the doctor's office. If I'm sitting in the doctor's office filling out paperwork, ask yourself, are the questions that I'm asking on there, like, would that be like
Yes.
traumatizing to a survivor?
Yes.
You know, like
Yes.
my new GYN, I told her, I said, I appreciate you asking me if I ever had a history of sexual trauma. You would be the first. And I've been
Wow.
going to an
Mhm.
OBGYN since I was 18 years old.
Wow.
You would be
Wow.
the first, right? And people don't realize, like, something as simple as, hey, do you have a history of
Yes.
sexual trauma? Right? because I deal with reproductive challenges. So
Mm-hmm.
now that you know there's a history, now you go, oh, there's that cultural humility again. Now I need to dig deeper to
Yes.
figure out where's the correlation. Because
Yes.
maybe what she's dealing with ain't just, simple
Yeah.
fibroids. Maybe there's a correlation there, which we know there is. And so I always tell people to be really culturally humble is to look at the whole picture,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, person.
not just parts of the picture, because that's what we've been doing. We've been looking at parts of the picture, and then we've been creating these programs and these services and delivering it to survivors and being like, well, why aren't you happy?
Right.
Because you still haven't gotten it. you don't you don't see me, you see a part of me.
Right.
And that's the difference, right? You see, you're treating a piece of me or the symptoms of me. You're not treating me. And so that was my whole purpose and why I did it that way, because I
Yeah.
wanted service providers to read that and be like, oh, so I'm getting it wrong with Susan too. Yeah, you
Yes.
are.
Yes. Yes. I love it. Well, before we run out of time, I want you to tell us about the Courage Couture Gala. That's a perfect segue into a happy place because I've worked
Yeah.
alongside you since the idea formed in your head,
Listen,
and we are
really.
less than 60 days out. It's less than that now to the Courage Couture Gala. Tell the people about the gala coming up.
Yeah. I'm super excited. It's happening October 24th, 2025, here in Maryland, the Prince George's Ballroom, which is a historic country club. And this idea God laid on my heart last year. And really, it's one night of community. What I have found for survivors, especially those in marginalized communities that I've been honored to walk beside, is that they have been doing this by themselves.
Right.
They
Mm-hmm.
have not had no one that they can go to because the service providers ain't getting it right. They don't have family and friends that they can go to.
Yeah.
And so when I really started thinking about what I wanted this night to feel like, I really wanted it to feel like home, like community, like safe space, like knowing that you will leave that night walking away with your tribe, your people that will walk beside you so that when you having a rough day, when your emotions are overwhelming, when you're having those flashbacks and you're thinking about to that, you got someone you can reach out to. You don't have to go through this alone. It is my hope that every survivor that's in that room finds a survivor that they can lock arms with. It is my hope that every advocate that comes in that room recognizes that this is why you show up for them,
Right.
because they need you. We need you. We cannot do this by ourselves. And so that is what this gala is about. I'm honored to do it in my beautiful state of Maryland. I'm even honored that Governor Wes Moore, our incredible governor, gave me a governor citation for it.
Yes.
Um, I'm just honored to be able to finally create a space that I didn't get. So this is my way of giving to survivors something that I wish I had 12 years ago, which was to have that community, have people that I can go to, because I had to walk through that journey by myself for the most part. Like I had my friends, I had some, but I didn't have people that get it. And
Yeah.
sometimes when you're going through something as traumatic as sexual trauma, you need people that get it. And so
Yeah.
that's what the gala is about. The tickets are on sale. Definitely go to my website, leahmforney.com, and you can get your tickets. But I love to see y'all in the room. We got people coming from all over. I think the furthest someone is traveling right now is Colorado
Oh
Oh
to
wow.
wow.
come to this
All
event.
right.
So I'm
We will
excited.
be in the room. I know I'm gonna be in the room. Got my ticket. We gonna be in the room. And
Yeah.
so thank you, sis. I love you, and I am so very very proud of you. I tell you this all the time, but I want to tell you again publicly how very proud I am of you. I've known you since those days when things first happened with you, and I've watched you grow and into definitely turning your purpose into pain. We couldn't read your bio in full with all the things that you've done, all the accolades that you've gotten, all the places that you speak, because this is your life's work. It is your life's work. And like I said, I'm so proud of what God is doing in your life. And I know good things are going to come. I can't wait to come back after we from the gala and report Whoa, when we go the show after that, talk about how was your week last week? Woo, child. We're gonna have to do a whole show on the gala.
Love it.
My hat's off to you, sis.
Thank you.
This has been eye-opening, to say the least. It is there's a part of me that is really touched by the fact that a lot of times we sit and we say, why don't they believe me?
Right.
Why is this so difficult? Why am I told to report something, and once I report it, I get no help, or I'm ridiculed, or it just seems to be another gut punch? Um, I am very not just proud, but I'm very grateful. I guess it's a word that I want to use, for you, Leah, and for not giving up, for not stopping, for continuing despite the challenges to do something that is very necessary and very needed.
Yes.
And even though you have lost, had some losses, I'll put it that way, in this fight and in this struggle. So I applaud you. I appreciate you. This is work that needs to be done. And I just want to say to everyone listening tonight and everyone who will be a part, we follow everything else. Follow this.
Mhm.
Amen.
Follow this. There's a lot, I look at things that come across in my phone and everything, and I think more trash. I want to see more trash. Show me something that's worth something. Show me that something that is really, really worthy of my time. And also, I would like for everybody to connect with you. Go to your website, see the kinds of things that you are doing, because there are many, 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 many different ways that you can support the things that Leah is doing. Do that. You want to make a difference. I want to be a change agent. I want to do something.
Yes.
Well, here's something that you can do. And I'm grateful. Thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you, all of our listeners and viewers, for being a part of this program and part of
Get the
this
book.
broadcast. Yeah, get the book.
Book.
Get the
Book.
book. Get the book. And we have run way over our time, and I'm still talking. Let me shut up. Look, Ruth, close us out.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna make it easy tonight. Go to our website,
Go.
authorsupshow.com. Everything else is on there. Follow us on social media, email us.
Woohoo.
There's a query form if you want to learn how to become a guest on our website, authorsupshow.com.
There
That's
you
it.
go.
Okay, I will say though
Tonight.
too. Oh, also I do have to add. Okay, if you're watching this show live or if you missed it, you can come back Saturday night. There will be a replay. Otherwise, you can go to our YouTube page midweek if you're not a Facebook person, and you can catch it there, or download the podcast. Take us
That's
with you
it.
wherever you go. That's
Yeah,
also on our
I
website.
still
So
got some more stuff to learn. So you got it. No
yeah,
problem.
yeah,
We
yeah.
see you
So
next week.
yeah, no, yeah, yeah. So when I'm not here, to say authorsupshow.com.
Authors Up
Othersupshow.com.
Show.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you,
Thank you, Lord.
everybody, for being with us. Leah, hats off to you, lady. Thank you,
Yes.
especially
Yes.
for all that you do and the hard work that you have been doing. That is it for us for tonight. Thank you for stopping by and being a part of a forum for authors by authors. We will be back here on Sunday evening at 7 p.m. You never, ever, 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 ever know what's going to happen when you go into Authors Up. Don't miss it. Come on back. We'll be here next Sunday,
Yep.
7 p.m. Thank you so much for
Good
joining.
night,
Bless you.
y'all.
Have
Good
a
night,
great week,
Sponsor. Good night,
everyone.
Bye.
Leah.
Yeah.